This is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. I'm Shawnee Castile.
And I'm Joy Camacho.
And I'm Larry Rhodes. And we want you to know that if you don't believe in God, you're not alone. Right here in East Tennessee, we can find free-thinking atheists and agnostics. This is a show for them and for people committed to a life rooted in science and unfettered by supernatural beliefs.
On today's show, we'll share with the viewers our recent experience at the Pridefest parade in Knoxville.
But first we want to tell viewers about the show's sponsor.
The Atheist Society of Knoxville frequently has a fun meetup at a bar or eatery in Knoxville. Tonight's meetup is at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria in the Old City starting around 5:30. Look for the silver-jacketed copy of The God Delusion standing upright on the table. Everyone is welcome to our happy hour for food, drink, and conversation. But as Matt Delahunty of the Atheist Experience says, if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't.
The Rationalists of East Tennessee have several regular monthly meetings. The first and third Sunday mornings of the month are usually lectures with lively roundtable discussions. The second Sunday, we hold the Skeptics Book Club. On the fourth Sunday, we are mixing it up. Sometimes we with a get-together called a reflections meeting. It features a potluck lunch in someone's home. Sometimes we meet to play board games, watch a movie, or similar activities. Just recently, we had a picnic for the National Day of Reason. Later in the show, we'll give you some websites to visit for additional details, including times and locations.
This is a call-in show. Please note the number at the bottom of the screen. The phone lines are open. You're welcome to call in anytime you like.
All right, and in the news, our sporadic segment called Good Pope, Bad Pope. CNN has recently reported a statement by Pope Francis saying that the Church and Christians should apologize to gay people that they have hurt, offended, insulted, whatnot.
And what was it, Phil Donaghy's has exploded?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, we're all just waiting for it.
Yeah. But of course, the Pope is one of those who really leads off with PR statements. He's been very vocal in his popehood, as it were. But he hasn't really followed through with any change of venue, change of, rules in the Catholic Church. They still follow the same old hard line.
Mm-hmm. So take what he says with a grain of salt.
Yep. Yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, it makes him come across as a much more likable, down-to-earth guy. Me? Mm-hmm. Okay. Are we ready for that? Or did you want to weigh in on the Pope? I
slept through today, so I don't. Oh. Just found out about it.
Well, it's always good to hear from the Pope when he has something nice to say. Mm-hmm. The U.S. Supreme Court made several decisions recently, including firearms access and abortion access. Would you like to talk about the abortion access?
Another thing I just found out about.
Absolutely.
It's good news.
It's fantastic news, especially for the women in Texas. The law is unconstitutional. They're limiting their access to safe medical abortions.
Right. They've been, the lawmakers in Texas have been shutting down, making it so that the abortion clinics, women's health clinics, make it harder and harder to actually treat women clients, making stricter requirements on the doctors for like hospital admitting requirements and that type of thing. And the Supreme Court messed with Texas this week and said, no, you can't do that. So hopefully we'll be seeing some more women's health resources open up in Texas.
Well, hopefully it affects our Amendment 1
right.
Here in Tennessee.
Supreme Court decision works or acts nationally. Mm-hmm. So that should have an effect all over the country.
Right.
Now, what was about this firearms thing?
Firearms. If you are convicted as a domestic abuser of a misdemeanor, you cannot own firearms any longer.
And which, on the surface, sounds good. I like it. I think it's a good idea. If you're convicted for domestic abuse, you don't need to be buying guns. However, Justice Black took an exception to that, saying no other class of people will have their constitutional rights taken away from them due to a misdemeanor. And he's got a point there, but at the same time, the story is far from over, I'm sure. We will probably be trying cases more and more on this now that the law has been set. And I'm sure that people with this misdemeanor assault charges are not going to stop buying guns.
What
So
would be
we'll
a
hear more about that.
misdemeanor assault
If I
charge?
punch you,
Yeah. Aggravated assault is a misdemeanor charge.
yeah. I mean, I expected it to be felony charges, but when they came out with misdemeanor,
Yeah,
I was a little surprised.
That was surprising.
Yeah.
Remember, phones are open. If you'd like to talk about either one of these issues or about atheism or religion or anything, please feel free to call in. Anything else on the Supreme Court decisions? The Pope? Okay.
That's plenty of news.
Huh?
That's plenty of news.
I reckon. Okay. You want to talk about the Pridefest?
Yes.
How did you find out about the Pridefest?
It's an annual thing that they've got going on to celebrate the LGBT community. They have the Pride Parade and then Pride Festival. And I actually had plans to go out of town that weekend, and those fell through. And I thought, why are we not participating in this?
Right.
We know what it's like to be shoved into a closet. We know what it's like to be treated horribly and differently
As a
because of our lack of
citizen.
Yes. So I figured it would be a good idea to reach out to them and see if we could possibly stand in solidarity with them.
And did we participate?
Yep, we did.
You can see from the sign up here, I mean, there's Shawnee, there's Joy, and there's me, and several other non-believers crowded in behind the atheist banner. We marched through the middle of Knoxville, and I'm sure we surprised a lot of people doing that. But how did you enjoy the parade?
Oh, I enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun throughout it.
Yeah. A lot of good people there, and
Enjoyed the counter protests with the protesters.
it was surprising the amount of positive reception that the city of Knoxville, the citizenry, gave the Pride Parade going through.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a good crowd.
And the police did a fantastic job. At no point whatsoever was I worried about anybody's safety. I did notice that they tended to congregate a bit more around the protesters, the three small groups of protesters. And yes, they were out there with their megaphones because apparently they have nothing better to do than harass people.
Yeah, and what's funny is that everybody in Knoxville was sharing love. You know, the good feeling, the camaraderie of this event. But then you have the Christians who theoretically own love.
Right.
You know, and they were the ones sprouting hate.
Right.
You know, throughout every time you see when they're out there just yelling at people and being hateful.
Telling us how we're going to die.
You know, die and be tortured forever after that.
Right, by an all-loving God. What I find it interesting now, and this is a good trend too, is the church and some of the religious groups are becoming more tolerant and more accepting. And then you have these small groups. I mean, like I said, there were three very small groups out at the parade and the festival that they give them all a bad name. So,
And they were all Christian too.
Yeah.
We didn't have any Muslim.
I didn't see any Muslims,
Nope.
any Jews like that. They were, it was strictly Christian protesters.
Had y'all done any previous Pride Fests not associated with the atheist group or anything?
This is my first one.
Yeah, I've never done it either.
Yeah. And we assembled, that's a picture of where we were assembled, which was under the interstate underpass.
Yes.
By Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria. What amazed me was, it was obviously a parking lot, and there were 4 whole rows of people that were lined up to get started on this. It was an amazing turnout from everybody just sitting in the back of cars to dressing up in costume to having we had a few floats. Not
Yeah.
that many, but there were some. And it was awesome.
I believe the organizers said last year that 70 groups signed up and participated in the parade, and this year they had 100 groups.
Wow.
So the turnout was much higher. I think I saw something like 14,000 people attended.
That's great.
Absolutely fantastic, and especially after the the horrific murders in Orlando.
Right.
It was important for those of us who are allies to stand up and let the LGBT plus community know that we are here for you.
And we're supporting their movement. If I can walk this at 66 years old, there's no reason you can't be involved as well next year.
Oh, right.
How long was that walk? About 3-4 miles?
It was a mile, I believe.
It was about a mile, but we were walking so slowly, it took about an hour.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I was 66. It seemed like 3 or 4 miles.
And it was hot.
And it was hot.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is they move from point A to point B, and instead of like point A to point B to D to, and then back.
Right.
So when it was over, you had to just walk back to your car.
Yeah,
That was a long walk.
we had a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old walking back to the car. That was fun.
Uber.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we didn't have car seats, so we had to
Yeah.
with the kids.
So how many ASK and RET participants would you think were in that? I'd say they're all in that picture at this point. Maybe we have
I
a few
think
others
so.
adding.
I want to say I counted
About-
around 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we
And
had a few
considering-
join us afterwards at the
Right,
festival.
at the festival. And considering that the parade was Saturday, and I signed us up Thursday morning, I spoke with them on Wednesday night. We successfully herded cats. I mean, we get 20 people. We Joy printed the shirts up in a matter of just a couple of days. It was fantastic.
The joke she's making is that some people call organizing atheists like herding cats, and you did a good job.
We successfully
You actually
did.
got them together, got them moving, kept the momentum up.
I think next year we're going to try and do a table
Yeah,
So-
at
Yeah.
the destination.
at the actual festival.
Yeah.
We'll have to look into that. And
Yeah. I did notice a few raised eyebrows when we came walking through with our banner, with it said atheist banner. There were some people that I actually saw a jaw drop, like we weren't supposed to be there. What are they doing here? You know, type of thing.
I saw more positive reactions than
I
anything
did.
from.
That's true.
I mean, we had the church groups, thumbs up, and that's really nice to see
That's
at an event like
reassuring.
that.
Any other spectator behavior that you'd like to remark on? Was it all positive other than the
Then the three
opposition?
groups.
Yeah, there was nothing outside of those 3 small groups of protesters.
Yeah.
We did have one woman came up, and of course, because of our shirts,
What'd she say?
she started to try to proselytize to my sister. My sister immediately goes on the defensive, and I said, "Not today, not
Yeah.
today." I said, "We go back after him tomorrow, but everybody's here. Love, solidarity.
Yeah.
Just let her keep going."
Yeah.
And I mean, there were no. I think that I saw that they did have a few security scares, but they were handled behind the scenes. Nobody saw
I
it.
never heard anything
Yeah.
about that.
Uh-uh.
I saw at least one where they had a guy off to the side at the railroad tracks.
So that was before we started.
I believe so.
Okay.
But like I said, the police officers were great. I think it was Knoxville City, Sheriff's Department, Highway Patrol, and Sevierville City.
Oh, wow.
Very good. What about the media coverage? Did you see much after the fact or during the fact? Did you see news outlets covering the
I didn't notice them, but I did get home in time to watch the 6 o'clock news, and WATE did a fantastic live broadcast of it and showed sections from the parade and talked about it.
Yeah.
And it was completely positive, absolutely nothing negative on that
Now
broadcast.
that is great. Can you imagine 100 years ago or even 50 years ago?
Yeah.
You know, that it would be a positive slant or acceptance of the media.
I don't even think 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Yeah, I think a lot of this persecution from the religious right has moved a lot of people over to the side of tolerance.
Yeah.
You know.
The intolerant ones are forcing progression,
Yeah.
which is a positive thing.
Yeah. So, what would you say are some of the parallels between the gay movement and the atheist movement? I know the closet, where a lot of us are in the closet because they simply cannot come out. Where nowadays it's pretty acceptable to come out at your job or whatever if you're gay. Still, there are many corporations and companies that are structurally religious.
Right.
And if you come out, you're taking a chance on losing your job.
Because people still have to deal with some families that aren't, that,
Right.
you know, they can't come out to. There's still a lot of different reasons for people not to come out.
We have people that come to our Tuesday night meetups that are not out at work, not out to their friends, and certainly not out. Some of them are not out to their family, which is a shame. I mean, you're basically living a lie because you're forced to live a lie, which is what the gay position has been for many, many years. But now we're experiencing that. But at the same time, we're experiencing the hope that maybe someday we can come out.
Right.
And of course, I've been out for decades, but well, 1.5 decades. But there is hope, and if you're listening and you're in the closet, the times are coming.
And we'd love to have you.
We'd love to have you. And if you feel like you'd like some camaraderie, community, friends, come down to Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria tonight, and any Tuesday night for that matter, and we'll be more than happy to welcome you and talk to you and guarantee good conversation.
Absolutely.
That's one thing we do.
And non-judgment.
Yeah.
So
what-
go ahead.
What was your most memorable moment during
I
the
think
march?
the first person that, actually no, it wasn't even during the march. It was one of the Episcopal ministers waved. I thought that was pretty interesting. I don't think you guys were.
I wasn't around for that. I didn't
Not
notice
sure.
it.
I know I had my shirt on by then, and that was, I kind of liked that. It was pretty interesting. And then when
Was
we
that
had
a
the
call?
when we had the protesters, they had their megaphones, and us pretty much just drowning them out.
Yeah, that was my favorite
You
part of it
couldn't
all.
hear them.
Yeah.
That was my.
I'm pretty sure
niece's
people
favorite
around
part.
us
The police acted
joined
pretty
in.
well on that.
Yeah, they did. They were great.
Yeah.
And did you have a memorable moment?
Well, when we were going into the festival, there's a cop. I saw a guy like had a speaker on the ground playing music, and a cop had told him to go move the speaker next to the protesters to drown them out too, which I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Police weren't having any of.
They were professional.
Yeah.
Very.
I'm one of the people that actually gone to the Citizens Police Academy, and I was really taken by how professional they were. They're a very organized, very efficient group, and they have the highest standards. So I'd like to give them a shout out, say good job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My most memorable moment, I guess the thing that I remember more was that jaw drop. Because she just did not expect to see a group of atheists walking through the middle of Gay Street. And that was nice. And all of the very friendly waves, because, like I said, we got one jaw drop, but a lot of people doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just thumbs up.
And it was
It's
thumbs up all the way down through there.
waves, hollers. I love your shirt. Where can I get your shirt?
Yeah, had people. I sold a shirt in the middle of the parade.
I paid for it, but you did sell it.
Yeah, I sold it.
Well, that's cool. That's very good.
Yeah, that was fun.
Okay, and where are we going now? We have come up to the break. Did you have any other comments or observations about the Pride Parade? Or?
Just everybody had a good time. It looked like everyone was having a good time.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see some of the local businesses. They would have their LGBT clubs out there. They marched in the parade. They had tables set up. And for your company to do that, to sponsor you that way, I think that's a fantastic thing, and hope that we eventually get that way with the majority of businesses.
What was really nice was that a lot of the businesses rent out the stories above their business for lofts and apartments. And there were a lot of people outside, the windows waving, almost like a VJ day or something. That they weren't throwing confetti,
No.
but at the same time, it was very welcoming to see people, on either
Sitting
side
on
of the
their
road,
balconies
on the
or
balcony,
hanging out the
waving
window.
and celebrating with the Pride movement. That was really good. Again, phone lines are open. Phone numbers at the bottom of the screen. You were both went to the Reason Rally.
I did not.
I did.
I thought you did.
No, I did not. I had to work.
I understand you talked about it the other week on the show, but did you have anything that you needed?
I did not talk about it.
You didn't?
Lee ended up using my pictures from it, some of my pictures, but I think I was working that day, so I didn't get to come over, talk about it.
I went, got a lot of sunburn.
Oh, yeah.
But I did, I mean, it was really nice to see Penn Jillette and what was it? The magician, that little magician, I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't think of it right now either. Randy.
Yeah.
Was there. There were several people that just really made the trip worthwhile. Julia Sweeney was there.
I enjoyed
been a fan of hers.
hearing David Silverman a lot.
Yeah. He had the crowd on his feet.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much.
The whole time.
Yelling. Yeah. Okay.
So, did they ever get a count on how many people actually showed up to Reason Rally?
That's the reason?
Yeah.
No.
Everything I've seen has been huge gaps in either
Right.
this or this.
I'd like to think there were like 20,000. The last time that they had one, they estimated 30,000. So there was a not as good a crowd as it was the first time. And the thing that got me about it was they had all these mini conferences. They were great to go to if you wanted to meet some people, but they charged for each one of those, and like $50 to $100 for each one. And I did not end up going to see them just because I'm a cheapskate, I guess.
The comedy show was only like $10. I went to see that.
Comedy show?
Yeah, that was the pre-party.
Yeah.
Now, I keep seeing these comments online talking about how it was just a social justice conference or whatever. Did you get that vibe from it at all? I'm guessing.
Yeah. I mean, several of the speakers, I would have rather they had stayed with the secular movement, you know, the issues that pertain directly to non-belief. But a lot of them switched over to social justice, which is okay. It's just not as much of what I was interested in hearing at the time, but it's fine.
Well, for those of us that didn't go, that's the comments that I keep seeing was that's all it was social justice issues. And then I hear from people who actually went, and it doesn't seem to be the case.
I think there was some, but I don't think it was completely
Right.
overrun by it.
So what other organizations did you happen to notice that were involved in the Pride Parade?
Walmart.
Walmart. Yeah, that was
That was surprising.
a shocker.
Yeah.
So there were bigger companies, Walmart, and
Hobby
so
Lobby
Alcoa.
probably not.
No, Hobby
Hobby
Lobby.
Lobby.
No, but they did have Walmart. I was like, I can't believe it. Okay.
Surprising.
What was it? Lady Scouts or something like that? What was it?
The people that were behind us. Yeah,
Something Lady Scouts or something, I
I
believe.
think Kat said it was Adult Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's pretty interesting.
You'd see them, but you wouldn't see the Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
They have taken a stand against homosexuality, and they're not about to go there. I once went into a store, and they had a table sitting out front, and there was a Scoutmaster and a couple of Boy Scouts. And he talked to me about it, and I said, I'm not giving you any money or anything because you're against atheists and homosexuals in your group. He said, no, we're not. I said, yes, you are. And I said, you need to read up on it. He says, I'm sure we're not. Okay. I haven't heard back from him.
I think they've actually changed their stance in the past couple of years, for the children at least.
Yeah,
They'll allow homosexual children. They said they wouldn't allow scout leaders, but I believe it was in New York.
No adults.
They had a kid just came up through the ranks, and of course he gets out of the Eagle Scouts or whatever's the higher one, and wants to be a troop leader, and they let him do it. He was openly gay. I think it's only been that one troop.
It's probably, case by case. He's.
Yeah. Well, this interface I had with the scout leader was probably 5 years ago. So I'm glad
it's
to
been
see
more
that.
recently.
I'm glad to see that it's
I still don't
changed.
think they allow atheists. I'll have to look up more on that. Whereas the Girl Scouts, they allow everybody. Yeah. All girls, transgender, atheists, gay, they don't
Well,
care.
they're very welcoming.
Very. I wish the Boy Scouts would get that way as well. So they had, the Lady Scouts were there. And, of course, the men's choir, the Knoxville Gay Men's Choir, they marched. Saw
The Edge XYZ, of course, I saw out there.
Yeah, and Christopher's.
Yeah.
They were in it. A couple of drag queens that were just phenomenal. Makes you jealous when you see their makeup.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is I saw several regular men who dressed up as drag queen and gay. We had one in our group who was dressed up as a unicorn with a rainbow outfit and all that stuff, and he was straight as anything. But he was there to support the movement.
Absolutely.
And he did it in spades. He did a really good job. Okay, anything else before we get into maybe a break at this point?
Trying to think how many church groups I saw marching in the parade. I think there were like a dozen of them.
I remember a few of them.
There were quite a few.
Yeah.
I don't remember what churches they were, but...
No, there's so many groups that have left the fundamentalist teachings of their Christianity and their religion behind. And I've actually got a meme that I've made with my picture on it that I put on the web saying that Christians and Muslims can be productive, good citizens of their society in direct proportion to how far they leave their literal teachings of their religion behind. And because just about every one of the religions will have edicts calling for the killing of gays, the stoning of women who are not virgins on their wedding night, on and on and on, lists of thou shalt nots that end in death.
Right.
But it was really nice to see churches,
Absolutely, yeah.
church organizations out there who eschew those old laws and embrace the love of society and their members.
Right. If your religion can't evolve and progress, if the fundamentals are strictly hate, you should probably back away from that religion.
And there are many like that.
Right. And I think that they're seeing too that they're not surviving, they're not progressing.
Right.
We already know that the nuns are growing in numbers. People are leaving the church.
They know it too.
Mention what nuns
they know
are.
The nuns, non-believers.
The none of the above. The people who check none of the above on the religious forms.
Nuns.
Yeah.
None your
What were you
business.
That the Christians know that they're losing the numbers too. They're well aware of it.
Yeah.
And that if I don't start becoming more accepting of people and tolerant, then they're going to cause their own extinction.
Right. And that's I think why we're seeing a lot of backlash against the fundamentalists, or from the fundamentalists. They see their position eroding and they're lashing out left and right, trying to threaten people into conformity.
I was going to say, they don't see it as maybe we should change how we're behaving. They see, like, we got to get these kids in here younger. We need to do better at...
We need to start brainwashing them a little bit.
Yeah.
Good luck, because that's not going to happen.
We need to be on the kids more.
It's going away. The younger generations are more nuns than even the adults nowadays.
Right.
They're less religious than the previous generation. And with the internet, they have every right to be, because they can get on and research these religious claims, where we couldn't do that when I was a child.
Right. You had to go to the library and really look for it.
And ask, when you ask authority figures in your society, and they all uniformly say, no, Christianity is right, Jesus is the Son of God, God is real, all the way from the cop on the corner, your teacher in school, all the way to the president. When I grew up, everybody was a Christian. I mean, you never met anybody that wasn't, or at least I didn't until I went to college. And once I found out that you didn't have to be a believer, my days as a believer was numbered.
I think I was around 12 when my mother came out as an atheist. And I had to fake it for a long time. I was when I finally just came right out and I got off the agnostic, got off the deist, I went through my progression. I did paganism for a while. I was in my late 20s, I believe, when I finally came out openly.
I think it was about 30.
Yeah. My sister was out in high school. My younger sister was.
I had friends that knew. Like, there were always people I'd talk to, and then I slowly started, like, on the Facebook On This Day thing. I can go back and see how before I would make comments that suggested I didn't believe, but I wasn't really open like I am now.
I had entire folders poking fun at religion and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just wouldn't come right out and say.
Exactly.
'Cause I was still, that you have this little bit of fear, this...
I'm always fascinated by deconversion stories. And what do you say we take a break and we come back, we get into those.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right. Well, in case you're just tuning in, this is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. Freethought Forum is funded jointly by them and by individual contributions.
Shows are live most every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Knoxville Community Access Television, Channel 12 or Channel 194, depending on your local cable network. Tell your out-of-town friends to see us streaming online at ctvknox.org.
Today's show is live on June 28th, I believe, 2016. And you can call the number on the screen and speak to us directly. We'll take a short break and watch some information videos about our sponsors, ASK and RET. We'll be back in just a moment.
If you live in or around the Knoxville area and are questioning your religious beliefs or simply believe in one less God than everyone else, well, you're not alone. The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun and friendly group of people just like you that meets twice a week at a bar or restaurant. We meet every Tuesday night following the show at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria for happy hour. You'll find our group either inside or on the patio. Look for Richard Dawkins' silver-jacketed book, The God Delusion, standing upright on the table. On Fridays, we meet at Agave Azul or the Beard and Beer Market. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't. We all question what we believe at one point in our lives. If this is the time for you, come join us for food, drink, conversation, and fun. Do you find stories of talking snakes laughable? Do you prefer the scientific method over supernatural beliefs? Are you concerned about religious leaders and organizations imposing their values and rules on your body, your family, and the rest of our society? Well, take comfort in the fact that you're not alone. The Rationalists of East Tennessee meets weekly for fellowship and provides a forum for people who support skeptical thinking and rational discussion of these and other issues. To find out more information or to find out about our next meeting, visit us on the web at www.rationalist.org. If you live in or around the...
And welcome back. This is the Freethought Forum, a TV show from the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. We have a caller, Faithless. Welcome to the show.
Well, hello there. This is Faithless Floyd. I've not gotten all the show, but I see the headline there, and you're talking about the recent Pridefest parade. And it had me wondering, was this organized in response to the shooting in Orlando, or not? Is it just a kind of a coincidence? The word coincidence seems pretty horrible in light of events.
No, this is actually an annual event that the majority of major cities have. They started back in the 70s, I think.
Not sure about that.
As a response to, we're proud of who we are. And they do this every year. You have Pride Week, Pride Month, Pride Parade, Pride Festival. It just happened to have coincided with the Orlando shooting.
Okay. So have any of you participated in one of these events previously?
No.
No, it's all our first ones.
So perhaps you were motivated then by the tragedy in Orlando.
Yeah, it was. I thought that we needed to stand in solidarity with the LGBT plus community.
I was already planning on going.
Right.
And I have a niece who's gay, so I did it in support of her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did it for pretty much, I want my nieces and nephews to grow up in a world where if they happen to fit into that group, that they're not going to be ostracized and treated poorly and driven to suicide or even homicide as the Orlando shooter possibly was.
Mm-hmm. And really,
Alrighty.
there's a support base out there for her.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we understand what it's like to be forced into a closet as atheists. And I felt that was important for us to be out there and to stand with them.
All righty, well, that's great. Did you get many people talking to you over the names of the group, Atheist Society of Knoxville, or did many people realize the nature of our group?
Well, we just marched through. I mean, we didn't have much opportunity to stop and talk. Mm-hmm. However, when it was over, you stayed and mm-hmm. talked to some people, I understand.
It was mostly the shirts. They loved the shirts. Mm-hmm. A lot of
That'd
people
be
asked.
The shirt she's wearing now.
The Gay the Pray Away shirts. And that's just a play off of Pray the Gay Away. We're not trying to say completely get rid of religion in the middle of an LGBT pride festival. But it's
tongue-in-cheek, cool.
Right.
That type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, a lot of people like that. And we did get a lot of thumbs ups and looks with the sign while we walked in the parade.
Yeah.
I believe Larry was saying there was only one person he saw that was just jaw literally dropped.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. All righty. Well, thank you much. I will go back to watching the show.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
Goodbye, all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Phone lines are open again if you'd like to call in and talk to us. We're talking about the Gay Pride Parade, and we'll be talking about deconversion from Christianity or whatever religion to atheism, which is what we were talking about just before we went into the break. Notice that when I said deconversion, because when you convert to like a religion like Christianity or Catholicism or whatever, it's a conversion. And we call it a deconversion when you finally come out of that. Would you like to start and tell me how were you raised as secular? Or?
No. My dad was like Old Testament Christian. My mom, I believe, was Baptist, and of course that didn't mesh well at all. It never made sense to me. I can
What's
remember
the difference
being
between Old Testament Christian and Baptist? I mean, I would think that a Baptist could be Old Testament Christian.
my dad. The fire and brimstone and the
But was he Baptist?
No,
Okay,
he
what
was
was he?
non-denominational.
Ah, okay.
He was so bad that he couldn't find a single church that he liked or one that wanted
Wow.
him. He was
So you were stuck.
They're all doing
I
it
was
wrong.
stuck, and he's
So
a
that-
very intelligent.
They were
man.
all doing it wrong. He
They were all
had
doing
the
it
right way.
Pastor.
Right.
No, I won't say
It
I
was
won't say
his
name.
way, and with him, he's a very intelligent man, and the only reason I can see for him even buying into this religion is it justifies his misogyny. He's very misogynistic.
Yeah.
So that's what I grew up with, and never made sense to me. I can remember being 3 and 4 years old going, well, who made God? Who made God? This doesn't make sense. And you're in,
You saw it even then.
right, it never made sense, but of course you go through the motions, and you fake it so long that you kind of believe it yourself, but still in the back of your mind, all those questions are there.
Now, you said a little earlier before the break that your mother had come out as an atheist. That must have made it much easier for you.
Yeah, it's I hope she doesn't get upset with me for telling the story. My dad was very abusive, and he had beat the crap out of her one day, and told her afterwards that she needed to get on her knees and beg God's forgiveness. And she said right then, I say she came to atheism out of hate, but right then it was like a light switch. She's like, "There's no God. There's no way. There's a God."
Yeah, especially a God that wanted something like that.
Right. Yeah, that would allow that to happen to her, and then her be the one at fault
Right.
because
And you
of
weren't
it.
an only child either.
No, I have 2 younger sisters. They are both nuns as well. I think they identify more as agnostic. Have 4 nieces and nephews total. One of them's starting to edge back towards Christianity. She's at the age, though she's 13.
Oh,
Let her educate herself. Let her
Sure.
make her own decisions.
as long as she keeps questioning and brings the questions.
Right,
to y'all.
right. And then the other children, they're toddlers and they're not old enough to understand it, so they don't go to church.
They're still going to go through Santa Claus.
Right. Well, we don't teach them about Santa Claus either.
Well, I don't think
They
that's a
don't.
good idea personally. I
Right.
think it's not a good idea to teach them about omniscient or invisible people who can watch your every move.
Right.
That's paranoia right
Yeah.
there to handle.
Yeah.
Well, and then they find out at age 8, 9, 10, 11 that their parents have lied to them. That's my issue with it. Like, where's that trust?
Right. Oh, it was a game. Yeah, well, it was a game we played for several years. Well, I had to be good.
Right. And I think that the Santa Claus thing is no worse than the Jesus thing.
I think if the child is just too young to understand something, then don't tell them. I
Right.
say you're not old enough and let it go. Don't try to sell them a myth
Right.
as truth.
Yeah. So then I think probably after high school, I started moving away from Christianity. I was like, none of this makes sense. I don't like it. And I actually went into paganism for a little while. That was interesting. If I'm going to enjoy or even slightly respect a single religion, it would probably be the witches. Yeah,
The Wiccan, or is it paganism? Same thing,
Wiccan,
basically?
witchcraft.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know Wiccan was the same thing.
It's Wiccan's like a branch of paganism,
Right.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
most Western atheists, and this is not the usual. I mean, it's not a broad stroke. Most Western atheists don't believe in anything magical.
Right.
I mean, now there are other Eastern atheists, like Buddhists, don't believe in God, but some of them believe in reincarnation. They believe in karma.
My sister believes
that
in
type of thing.
reincarnation.
So you can have atheists that do believe in magic and reincarnation, that type of thing.
They don't believe in, I mean, by definition, atheism, you don't believe in the existence of a God. That's it.
That's it.
Don't
Yep.
change the definition to suit
Right.
your agenda.
Right.
That's strictly it. And
Right.
I have a
And
sister that,
agnosticism and atheism are not mutually exclusive. I'm an agnostic because I don't know if there's a God or not, but I don't believe in God, so I'm an atheist.
You're an
So
agnostic atheist.
I'm both.
I'm a Gnostic atheist.
Yeah.
No, I see absolutely. No, you can't present something like the Holocaust or massive numbers of children starving to death and tell me that there's an all-powerful, benevolent God
Right.
that exists.
Well, but you're specifically pointing to a particular God and saying the omniscient, all-powerful, loving God, Christianity cannot exist because of this, and this, Holocaust particularly. But
Right.
there could be a deist God.
Right, and I went through that as well. I went through a deism phase
And-
for a while. I was like, we don't know. For all we know, we're a
There you-
byproduct of an alien experiment. Like, I went through all that stuff.
There's your cue, Dale.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's great. I'm glad that you came through the process as easily as you did. I mean, you had a father that was a real challenge, but I didn't have that. But my mother would have been a challenge because it would have broken her heart if I told her I was an atheist. She died at 74, and I never told her.
You never told her.
oh,
I'm
wow.
out to everyone in my family.
Oh, I'm out now.
And I'm sure they're constantly praying for me, but
I have family members praying for me, I'm sure.
yeah.
Joy, do you have anything you'd like to share as far as...
I'm not sure if there ever was a deconversion. Like, I was raised, like, Sunday school seemed like my mom's babysitter on Sunday morning. So whatever church was closest to us, that's the one she'd send, because we moved around a lot. So the denomination would change depending on where we were living. So I got exposed to several different religions. And then when I was 13, she decided to send me to Catholic school, which was really enough to get me questioning, because there's a whole lot that they were teaching that I'm just like, that just doesn't make sense to me.
They wouldn't just let you sit in a pew and not ask questions or sell you stuff in a back and forth.
They don't want to hear
environment.
questions from me.
But Catholicism, they want to train you.
Yeah.
So there's all of these claims and interactions and education. So you
Right.
had a chance to converse with them.
Even in Sunday school, I remember like being told not to ask questions. So I remember that young. So by the time I got to, and I did, I was always wanting to ask questions. Like, I was curious. I wanted to know more. So I got in trouble some from it, especially in the Catholic school. When I left there, they're like, you're going to get in so much trouble outside of here. Ended up doing just fine.
Yeah.
But I remember being 15 the first time my mom was trying to send me to a retreat with my brother and his girlfriend. And I'm like, I don't want to go. Well, why don't you want to go? I'm like, well, to be honest with you, I don't think I believe in God. And it was the first time I said it out loud, and I told my reason then, I was like, how can an all-loving, all-forgiving God send people to hell? I was like, that makes no sense. It contradicts itself. And the response was, in this house we believe in God, and we're Christians. It's just like,
Right.
you haven't gone to church in like 10 years, Mom. You know, but
Yeah. That
Yeah.
reminds me of that video that's going around, and the boy tells his mother that he doesn't believe in God anymore. She says, no more Christmas for you.
Yeah.
I mean, they jump from like, we believe in God to threats. You know,
Or
there's
physical violence. I've seen
Right.
that.
There's
Yeah.
no in between. And we have another phone call. Welcome to Freethought Forum. You're on the air. May we have a name or a nickname, please?
Caller should work.
Hello, caller. Give us just a second to get your volume up here.
All right, it should.
Okay, that's much better.
Very good.
Okay, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, you were talking about the different religions and all that a minute ago, and I was thinking about, you got like deists that think that there's a God out there, but they really don't know exactly what it is, except that it's not doing anything. But scientists lately have been causing a bit of confusion in me, and I was hoping to get your opinion on it.
Okay.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, as a matter of fact, was one of the online news today. He was talking about the idea that our existence may be a simulation which is sprung from somewhere else. And normally I would think that if we were sprung from somewhere else, that somewhere else would be called a god. So you have these scientists coming up with the idea that that may be the nature of our universe, is that we're basically a hologram.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it depends on what you call a god. We need to work within certain definitions. If we're a simulation, somebody was a programmer, but it could just be an alien, from a different dimension that has created a universe in his computer. Would that be a god? How many Christians and Muslims and Jews would recognize that as a god?
Every time my daughter makes my 11-year-old daughter makes a program on the computer and she has her character, she's playing God. Mm-hmm. She's a god.
Wouldn't you think that's about true? I mean, if there's that far advanced, how could you be calling them anything but, or a demon, if you will?
Yeah. I think that both of those terms have so much baggage with them that we would have to really come up with a new term to do them justice. Mm-hmm. But
didn't they do a movie that was similar to that? And of course, it's the old sci-fi theory of we're all a computer program. But they did one with Ryan Reynolds called The Nines.
The Nine?
The Nines.
Oh,
yeah, where he played. You find out at the end that he's actually a god.
I was just curious about how that would fit into an atheist idea, and that is that we might be a simulation by an intelligent being of all things.
Well,
I mean, even the deists don't think that God is intelligent.
Yeah. Well, I would think that, like me, I'm an atheist. I can only speak for me, but my mind is open. If there were evidence and reason to believe that, if science came up with a good enough reason to say that this universe was caused by a programmer, or it's actually a simulation or whatever, my mind would be open to accepting that. However, the time to believe something is when the evidence presents itself. You shouldn't just jump to believing things just because you want to.
And I don't think I would call it a god or a deity at that point anyway. I don't think that would fall under the definition.
And the definition of a god would be someone that rampages around causing misery and blessing people?
No, but I would call that probably a programmer. If that's going to be the case, it's a programmer.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your opinion. I was just curious about that. That came up in the online news, and I was wondering what the local opinion might be about that. I appreciate you taking the time to answer my call.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. I think we left off with you. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add to that?
I don't think so.
About your deconversion?
I went from Catholic school to atheist.
Yeah, I think I wasn't really out after that. I've always had a few friends that knew I didn't believe, but it wasn't anything I broadcasted. Like my Facebook and MySpace page looked a lot different up until about like 2 or 3 years ago, where I finally was like.
Well, what advice would you give to people who are maybe living at home? They're out. I mean, they're not out of the closet, but they're atheists, and they have to deal with a religious family, a religious school, a religious society.
You're not alone.
Yeah, you're not alone. Find other people like you, be it online, a local group.
Search your city and atheist group, and there's likely to be one somewhere nearby.
And
right.
If there's not,
create one.
Right.
Yep.
Start one. And you can always stay in the closet.
Welcome to Freethought Forum. You're on the air. May we have a name or nickname?
This is J. Michael. I'm on the air.
You are?
Okay, I didn't know my phone's silent, so I apologize for that.
Now we can hear you.
I got just something. I'm not going to be combative with y'all because we're all entitled to our own belief. But I was going to say that I really agree with you on one point. God, a good, loving God, would not send anyone to hell.
Glad to hear it.
Absolutely. He gives you the free choice whether to believe Him and learn His ways and live for Him.
His way or the highway.
If he gave me a mind to question, why would he then punish me for using it to question?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
If he gave me a mind capable of questioning things, why would he then punish me for using it to do just that?
He's not punishing you. You're choosing your own destination.
No.
Okay, then
You either reject Him and come across as, it's just that He'll give you that right if that's what you want.
Shawnee, you
But
want
He's
to...
a loving God. He didn't want to make puppets.
Go ahead, Shawnee.
Well, I mean, it's an ultimatum. It's abusive. It's an abusive mentality to say, do what I tell you to, or I'm going to allow you to be tortured.
Right.
Do what I want you to do, but I'm going to allow you to be tortured. It's like an abusive spouse.
It is.
It's your fault that you burnt dinner. It's your fault that I'm beating you right now.
Right.
It's your fault that I'm sending you to hell. I mean, that's all it is. It's a sadistic and childish God.
Yeah. And he tends to punish people for the sins of their parent or their progenitor or whatever.
Original sin.
The original sin, like he doomed everybody in the world and throughout history just because of original
He's
sin.
going to give you the opportunity. If you don't want God, and you're an atheist,
Right.
you don't believe in God, or you don't believe the way He is, or you have something against whatever,
Okay.
He's going to let you have what you want. If you want to live forever without Him, then that's what you're going to do. You're going to live forever without Him.
Let me ask
However,
you this.
the alternative is not what you think it is, and it's not a good alternative.
Everybody is going to somebody else's hell.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to the Muslim hell and the Jewish hell if they have
Jews
one.
don't have hell.
They don't. So
Westboro Baptist
Because they have
Church.
a lot of
He's probably going to the
a
Westboro.
particular God. There are 10,000 gods out there, 10,000 different religions. You are not exempt.
No. What if you're worshiping the wrong one?
That's right.
And all you're doing is ticking the right one
off.
off.
Of the right religion.
Right.
You could be Protestant and only Catholics go to hell. I mean heaven. So
What if
you're not
the
exempt.
Westboro Baptist Church is right?
Right.
We're all
And they
going.
believe that.
Yeah, what if Westboro Baptist gets it right?
Or Mormons or whatever.
And
Anyway.
quite
thank you.
frankly, if I died and there did exist a God, I would just declare war on him. He's a
Yeah,
sadist.
right.
It's a sadistic
That
character.
particular one.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Abrahamic God is a sadistic character.
All right, we're going to go ahead and finish up our conversation. Thank you for calling. Yeah, it's like you said.
It's your hell, you burn in it.
Oh no, the thing is, you burned dinner. It was your choice to burn dinner. You burned dinner, so I'm going to beat you and put you in the.
And now you need to beg God for
and then
forgiveness.
you need to beg me for forgiveness, which is what God is telling us.
Yep.
Okay, back to our advice that we would give people that are struggling with religious people at home and workplace. We said, find an organization.
Find a local group, make a local group. You can
Right.
stay in the closet and still have your local group. We
Right.
have people in ours that are in the closet. If somebody's taking pictures, we either blur their face or they turn around. We don't out them.
Also, if you're a student, there's the Secular Student Alliance. Write that down and look them up. You can, if you don't have a Secular Student Alliance organization in your high school, start one. You don't need they will tell you, sometimes the religious instructors will tell you that you've got to have a teacher sponsor. You don't. That's against the law for them to tell you that.
Really?
Something we
you don't
needed
have
to
to.
know.
That's important to
You
know.
start your own group. Students can start their own groups, and you can do it yourself. Of course, that would mean that you're outing yourself, but at the same time, you can communicate with these groups without outing yourself because the internet is so great.
Right. I also say, and I've said this many times, if your family rejects you because you come out as an atheist, and I don't mean a militant atheist or combative or anything, but the fact that you are an atheist and your family can't accept it, if they don't love you as an atheist, they never truly loved you to begin with. And you need to go find a new family.
Their love is conditional.
Their love is conditional. Go find a new family.
Yeah.
While we're talking about groups, for instance, the title of the show and all, the Gay Straight Alliance for
Yes.
like students that are out or not out, because it welcomes everybody. So
Yeah, it's all inclusive, I believe.
I shy away from saying find a new family, only because I really think they need to make it work. Dan Barker, who's the president of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, when he came out, both of his parents really came down on him. And, I mean, all of his friends turned their back on him. But within a couple of years, both of his parents were atheists.
Yeah.
Don't sell them short. They may very well turn around. But think of it, most of our members are religious people, or were, just a few years ago. So this is a growing community, and it's growing from the religious community. We're not, well, we are born atheists, but
We're all born atheists until somebody brainwashes
and also,
us.
if you say that you really should turn your back on your family because of your atheism, that puts you into a kind of a cult.
I'm not necessarily
mentality.
saying turn your back on them. I'm saying go find other people to
Find-
surround yourself with that will love you.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what.
But
It's not a
that's-
conditional love.
Right. That's what religion does. You know, even Jesus himself said, you can't love me if you don't hate your mother, your father,
Right.
your sister, your brother, and because they don't follow me, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So I guess I've got just a minute or two to get into my own deconversion. But I was born and raised Christian. I was born in a Southern Baptist family. My mother was very religious. We didn't go to church, though. About the only time I remember going to church with my mom was when she asked me to be baptized, and she particularly went for that. But I just did not trust church people. They always had their hand out, glad handing you. They were always suspiciously happy. They always wanted you to do something or give them money. And when I went through the Navy, I was still religious. When I got out and went to college, I met my first atheist, and that was pretty much that. I did not know up until that point that atheism was an option, that you literally could not believe in God.
Right.
That was okay. So, and I've been out pretty much. I've been an atheist ever since, and only out for about 16 years. Got a couple minutes. Do you have anything that you'd like to wrap up with?
Events coming up.
I got a radio show. We can
Yep.
talk about that. WO0 Radio. We have an atheist broadcast show right here in Knoxville every Sunday at 6 o'clock. That's 103.9 low power FM radio station. And tune in.
we have
Find Freethought.
We have the East Tennessee chapter of the Freedom from Religion
Yep.
Foundation now.
that's next
We're
week.
currently meeting every third Wednesday
Okay.
of the month. In July, it will be at Earth Fair in the community room. We'll probably quickly grow out of that venue and hopefully end up renting space from a school, possibly. But we will meet every third Wednesday of the month. You do not have to be an FFRF member. You can come as a guest. All right, and it's time to wrap things up. So get out your pen and paper. This has been the Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. Oh, I forgot. I was the only one who has this. All right. You can send us your feedback by leaving a voicemail at 865-272-9060 or email us at freethoughtforum@yahoo.com.
You can see this show on Tuesdays from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on this Knoxville station, or 2200 Greenwich Time. Or you can watch it online at ctvknox.org.
The opinions expressed on the show are of the host and guests, and not any official opinion of Ask or RIT. We would like to thank Sam for technical support, the staff of CTV Knox, and to all our viewers and callers.
And nuns, those who identify with no religion, are the fastest growing religious group in America. Right here in East Tennessee, the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee are places you can find fellowship and fun. You need to remember that you are not the only person out there. There are groups that you can access, book clubs, social activities, there's Sunday Assembly.
There's Rationalists of East Tennessee, of course, which is a sponsor of this show.
Correct.
And if you're watching right now, be sure to come down to Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria right after the show, because we're going to get together down there with 20 or 30 of our closest atheist friends.
Sometimes 40, sometimes we get a young earth creationist.
Go into the bar area and look for the longest table with the most smiling people.
And remember,
You are not alone.